Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily short story. Now, before I start today's story, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this short story and any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers and at your local bookstore and local library if you requested, and you can order paperback copies from Amazon. Now, here's today's short story. I hope you enjoyed just as much as I did writing it.
Deadly Vengeance. I love you. Ellena Adams just listened to her front door slam shut as her beautiful, sweet, kind son Leon headed off to meet up with some university friends for the first time since the event. She really hoped the freshly painted white door frame wasn't chipped by the slam, but she didn't care. She just needed her beautiful child to be okay. Granted, he was 20 years old, but he was home for the Easter holidays, and Ellena was still really excited that he was here for a few more weeks before heading up to Manchester again for his studies. Ellena seriously didn't like the awful oak dining chairs that her husband Stephen had brought last week. They were cold, lumpy, and she could have sworn there was a knot of wood stabbing her in the bum. It wasn't nice, and she was so getting Stephen to look at these damn chairs later on.
But she wasn't really that worried about the chairs though.
She was a lot more worried about Leon, her sweet little boy she should just wanted to wrap up, cuddle and protect from the harshness of the world. Ellena tapped her fingers against her ice-cold mug of mint tea that Leon had made for her this morning. He was always doing sweet stuff like that. He always got up before her and Stephen, so he made them tea, breakfast and sometimes brought the morning newspaper for them. Leon had done that since he was 12, and he was still doing it now. She really did love him. Leon was the best kid she ever could have asked for. She looked around her perfect dining room, and she almost didn't like anything of it today, because of what Leon had just said about the event, and what it meant for her little boy. Normally, Ellena really liked the bright white sterile walls of the dining room, because it contrasted all her bright, colorful family photos so well. She had taken Leon, Stephen and Leon's brother Jeremy all over the world as kids. She wanted to explore the world, have fun and see that there was so much more to the world than England. It was why she took them to New Zealand, New York and France and everywhere in between. She moved heaven and earth to give her kids everything she never had as a kid. And still it wasn't enough. And still, a horrible man and woman had interfered with her little precious son, so he was having panic attacks, body dysphoria and hating himself. They were going to pay, and they were going to die. The weak, sweet aroma of the mint tea made Ellena focus back on the family photos. Leon was smiling, laughing and giggling like a crazy child in all of them. He was happy, and even though he had just told her what had happened, she couldn't remember the last time he had smiled. It was at least a week ago, considering that was when the event happened. Ellena had told Leon that she loved him, she was here for him, and she would make sure he was safe forever. Of course, sweet Leon didn't actually know what she meant by that, but that was what Ellena loved about her family. No one actually knew she had skills and connections. She had started off making the family think she was a housewife for a joke, but she worked for some criminals, some gangs and whoever else was willing to pay for information. If someone wanted information, they came to her and she got it for them. Finding out who the man and woman were shouldn't have been that hard. Ellena smiled to herself as she stood up, downed her awfully cold mint tea, and she was half tempted to make a fresh mug, but she just needed to find out who hurt her little boy. They needed to die and pay and suffer for what they did. Ellena went through the living room and she smiled at the delicious hints of French toast, cinnamon and vanilla, something she had made for Leon as he told her what had happened, and she went upstairs. The loud cracking and moving of each step made Ellena want to tell Stephen off for slacking on his duties. But he was working hard at the local FedEx hub, so she supposed she needed to cut him some slack. Oh God! Ellena forced herself not to stop as she went up the stairs. She had no idea how she was going to tell Stephen about what happened, Leon wanted her to do it, but how could she? She was focusing on killing the bastards, so she didn't have to say or think about the act itself. She wasn't sure she could say it out loud to Stephen. Not since Stephen loved Leon so much as a stepdad. Ellena shivered as she hooked a right and went into her little private office. The rich aromas of coffee, recycled air with that warm tang from computer vents, and rich hot chocolate filled the office. Ellena realized she seriously needed to clean in here at some point, but right now she had a job to do. She picked up a large pile of papers from her black leather desk chair from a recent gang case she was working, and she fired up her computer. It vibrated, hummed and roared to life, and she just grinned. It was time to get the bastards. She kept grinning, as the perfectly warm and supportive desk chair hugged her body, like how her mother had done as a kid when the bullying had gotten really bad. She took a deep breath of the chocolate, coffee air, and she set to work. Leon had downloaded a dating app, because he wanted to look for some hookup sex, something he had never done before, and wanted to try it. Ellena wasn't impressed. He didn't tell her what app he was using, but he downloaded it when connected to the house Wi-Fi. She accessed their Wi-Fi and searched all the downloads. She laughed as she scrolled through pages upon pages of Jeremy's porn. He had some interesting tastes for sure, and she wasn't sure she even approved of most of them, but one problem at a time. After a few moments, Ellena found the app, Clickers, and she read up on the app through her criminal network. It turned out to be a very good, respectful app that was filled with perfectly normal people just wanting hookups, or to find real, genuine relationships. Ellena could respect that, but she couldn't respect some idiots wanting to use the app as a hunting ground. She was going to gut them herself at this rate. She focused on the internet usage for that specific app, and she noticed Leon had spoken to a hell of a lot of people. And she crossed her legs as she read some of the messages. She had no idea her son was such a flirt, and he was clearly looking for sex. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her breathing turned rapid. Sweat poured off her. Ellena looked away for a minute, and she focused on her office. She focused on the coffee, chocolate smell of the air, the humming and roaring of her high-powered computers, and she liked the taste of warm chocolate cake on her tongue. She was safe and okay, and nothing was going to hurt her. Ellena shivered, as it had been ages since she had even remotely remembered, and thought about her own close calls when she was 18 and 20. She was a cute girl, and people liked that, it turned out. And it wasn't like Ellena expected Leon to be a virgin, or never date. She knew he did. Ellena loved having Leon and his girlfriends round over the years, because he always found the sweetest, cutest girls ever. Ellena focused back on the computer, and skipped towards the very last person he had been messaging on the app. And the tone was slightly different. Ellena didn't doubt Leon hadn't realized it because he was horny and looking for sex. But Ellena had been hunting down information for way too long, not to notice subtle shifts in conversations. This user, Catgirl99, was wanting sex, but the user was being careful. The other users hinted at their positions, their likes and dislikes, and they always shared small amounts of personal information. This user didn't. Ellena hacked into the app's databases, and focused more on the user. She was surprised the user was one of the oldest on the app, going back 5 years, and whenever the user found someone to click with, that clicked person never used the app again. They deactivated their account the very next day. As much as Ellena didn't want to, she used the various backdoors she had into various police databases, and she ran the app. She wanted to find out if it had ever been mentioned in any police reports. 3 results came up, and Catgirl99 came up in each of them. The user reported being interfered with 3 people, 2 men and a woman, and those were the only ones that went to the police. But there was never enough evidence to convict, or even charge anyone. Ellena pushed herself away from the desk for a moment, and she closed her eyes. The chocolate coffee scent got even stronger, as did the delicious taste of warm chocolate cake on her tongue. As much as Ellena always told victims to go to the Rape Crisis Center over the years as soon as possible, she didn't blame them for not going. It was scary, and like Leon, most victims felt embarrassed, disgusted, and like no one would believe them. And the biological evidence was gone after a shower or a teeth cleaning, so it was hard for everyone. Ellena went over her computer again, and she tracked the IP address of Catgirl 99, and she laughed. It was very, very local to Canterbury. She knew the address, and she knew exactly who lived there, and she knew some gangsters that would love the excuse to take out these people. A few years ago, Ellena had been getting some information on drug shipments from France to Dover, for a UK-based gang, because they believed someone had been stealing from the shipment. It turned out they were right, so Ellena got them the information and the thieves went away. Later on, Ellena discovered that there were 2 Border Force agents, Jake and Lydia Froster, who had been involved in letting the thieves into the shipments in the first place. Ellena had her money, so she didn't really care, but information was always useful, so she kept her discoveries safe. Jake's and Lydia's address was the one registered to Cargirl 99, and now Ellena wasn't sure what to do. Had she failed as a mother? Had she failed as a good person? Had she failed at life? If she had just reported the Frosters earlier when she had first discovered the shipment involvement, then her little precious boy would be okay, the event wouldn't have happened, and he wouldn't be having the panic attacks. The panic attacks that can be triggered as easily as him just taking his clothes off, or him going to the toilet and seeing his penis, or him being touched or hugged in any way. She could have stopped all of this, if she had simply gone the extra mile in her job. She could have saved her little boy so much pain and trauma and suffering. Ellena reached under her desk and took out a small black burner phone, that she only ever used when she had information to give someone, so she dialed the gang, and she was going to make them torture those bastards before they died. Later that evening, Ellena wrapped her massive thin red blanket around herself as she sat on her large black sofa watching the evening news. Stephen was sitting next to her snoring away. He looked amazing in his jeans and shirt, and she really did love him. The evening news was talking about the discovery of 2 Border Force agents being found dead in the countryside around Canterbury. They had been tortured and crippled and had their guts sliced open before they died, and Ellena couldn't be happier. The subtle hint of vanilla still hung in the air, and Ellena loved it. The vanilla hint actually went really well with the strong aroma of her mint tea, that combined wonderfully to make the taste of mint ice cream form on her tongue. She loved that great taste. A moment later, Ellena smiled as beautiful Leon came in. He looked so tall and manly and innocent in his light brown jacket, black jeans and crew cut. He might have been 20, but she would always protect him like the sweet 12-year-old she loved. "You okay?" Ellena asked gently. Leon nodded. "I got some free counseling sessions at the uni, starting next month."
That's great, and if you want something private, we'll pay for it.
Leon looked sheepish and nodded, and then just stopped when he saw the news. Ellena went to turn it off, and Leon shook his head. Ellena just watched as Leon shook, and looked like he wanted to run away and scream and cry. Then the news story changed over, and Leon weakly smiled at her. And he did something Ellena didn't think he would ever do again. He hugged her for a brief moment before breaking it, with his hands shaking. "Thank you," Leon said before rushing upstairs so he was alone, safe and secure again. Ellena smiled. Maybe her little boy could be okay once more, and she was surprised he knew about she had had something to do with it. But that was why she loved her family and Leon especially. They were all so smart, kind and intelligent that she wouldn't actually put it past any of them if they all knew. If something needed information, she would find it for them, and if she needed to find out who hurt someone she loved, then she wouldn't stop searching until she found it. And they were dead as part of her deadly vengeance.
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the internet engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested. And you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteley Verse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.